Okay, so hello everyone. It's my pleasure to be here with you. Thank you for coming. During these next minutes, I will explain to you the different activities that I develop in two different organizations. Thank you. On the one hand, as you can see, I'm actually the president of the Basque Association of Industrial Heritage, which is a non-governmental association in the Basque Country, in the Basque region, in the north of Spain. And at the same time, I also work for the European Route of Industrial Heritage, which is the main organization, the main network that we have at European level, defending and promoting the industrial culture. And also I will explain to you some different things about that. But first of all, I would like to tell you the place where I come from. As you can see, there is Spain, and the Basque Country is a small region just in the north of Spain. We have, from the administration point of view, we have three different provinces. And in this case, we are a small region. As you can see here, from the east to the west, we have about 100 kilometers, the same from the north to the south, so we are not a very big region. We are about 2.2 million inhabitants. I think Taipei City is about 2.5, yeah. Okay, more or less. Fortunately, we have one of the highest GDP per capita in Spain, and one of the highest also per capita income. So from that point of view, we are very lucky. And one of the reasons is because industry is still very important from the economic point of view. And of course, we have some challenges, such as, for example, the aging population, because about 25% of the population is over 65 years old, so it's really challenging for the future. Just to locate, I don't know if many of you know this masterpiece of Frank Gehry architect, the Guggenheim Museum. So this is a very interesting place, and since 20 years, more or less, a lot of tourists come from the Basque Country because this is an icon, so for us it's very important. But what is really important is our industrial DNA. The Industrial Revolution, as many other regions at European level, started at the end of the 19th century. We had, in this case, iron mineral, so British companies, mainly coming from Germany, from Belgium, and from France, came to the Basque Country to take the iron mineral. But we also developed, in this case, a very strong steel industry. But as in many other regions in Spain, during the 80s, mainly industrial crisis came and everything was almost collapsed. We had, in this case, a very critical socioeconomic situation, because at that time, about 40% of our GDP was industry. So you can imagine, at that time, thousands of employees disappeared, most of industries closed down. So it was a very tough moment when a lot of families had to move to other regions in Spain to get jobs. But it was also a very bad moment for the industrial heritage, because at that time, when factories were closed down, the Basque government started demolishing most of those factories, old factories, because Basque Country is very hilly, so we don't have enough space to build some other uses, such as build houses or another economic activities. And that was the moment when some professionals coming from history, architecture, engineering, come together, founded this Basque Association for Industrial Heritage. We were founded in 1982. At that time, we organized the first national conference on industrial heritage that ever held before in Spain. So we were pioneers on defending the industrial culture at the Spanish level, together with Catalonia, Barcelona. I don't know if you know. And since then, what we are doing from our association is mainly to work in these 5 fields, let's say. Of course, in the very beginning, when we started, we didn't know so much about industrial heritage. In the Basque Country, we had, as I told you, a lot of factories, but from the heritage point of view, we didn't know nothing about them, and we started, in this case, researching about the industrial heritage we had, and we did, in this case, the first inventory of industrial heritage in all of Spain in order to have a kind of methodology to establish and to identify with which of those old factories had, in fact, enough values to be preserved and to be reused. When we had this reference, this methodological reference, we started collaborating with the Basque government in this case in order to convince to them to protect as a monument the main important industrial sites we had at that time. The third step, as you can see, is of course the conservation, valorization, and reuse of these industrial sites. You will see, for example, I will share with you two different examples about how we get two different industrial sites, industrial factories that are reduced, hopefully, thanks to the association. Because in the very beginning, the government, the mayor, the province, the regional government didn't want to preserve, but thanks to our persistence, maybe they were convinced that it was necessary to mix different with new and old sites. So you will see later on this factory mill, you will see the actual situation, but finally we get that they are going to reuse. Of course, it is also important to link to the Sustainable Development Goals, which is very important. So this is one example, and the other one, as you can see here, is the Bilbao's main train station. Actually, we are constructing the high-speed train, and in the very beginning, the town didn't want to preserve the historical station, but finally, we convinced to them that it was necessary to preserve. So finally, as you can see here in the project, they will reuse. With these two examples, what I wanted to share with you is that we really need to mix what we were, we still have industrial DNA with, of course, new uses, because cities are alive, and of course, cities new different uses, different needs, but sometimes I have the feeling that when I travel to other cities, every city is almost quite similar during this last year. It's like all the cities are the same, and from the urbanistic point of view, most of them are getting quite similar. Of course, from my association, it's so important, dissemination and communication, to be in touch with the media, social media, TV, newspaper, in order to disseminate, to communicate, to share the importance of preserving of our industrial heritage. Here you have the station that I told you before, and here you can see the mill factory that I showed you before, and how we organize a lot of guided tours, mainly with the people who live in the neighbor, very close to the mill, in order also to convince that it's important to preserve their, in this case, industrial culture and heritage. Of course, from the association, we organize some other different activities, such as different expositions, as you can see here in Bilbao Metro. And another thing which is also very important is the governance, to be in touch with the public administration, because many times they have the key in order to make these kind of good decisions. Of course, we have a very strong relationship with the culture department, but not only. In this case, as you can see here, in 2019 we started also collaborating with the tourism department, because they wanted, in this case, to develop a touristic product related to our industrial past. And in this case, we join and we make a kind of master plan in order to develop this touristic product with different steps during the elaboration of the master plan. I haven't told you before, sorry for that the Basque Association of Industrial Heritage is an NGO, of course, so all the people who work for the association is a voluntary work, and this is important to remark as well. And this master plan, tourist master plan, was the beginning of the relationship with the DRE network. That's the other organization where I work for. This is 2019. There in the Basque Country, the board of directors of the European Route of Industrial Heritage came to the Basque Country, and the Basque Country joined to this European network. And what's ERI? ERI, as you can see here, is the tourist information network of the most important industrial heritage sites in Europe. And industrial heritage sites which are accessible to the public. And this is very important. This is the touristic point of view of the area network. Anyway, we are, in this case, the voice, let's say, I would say, honestly, the voice of industrial heritage at European level. How are we organized? We are an NGO, as well. And mainly, as you can see, we are about 400 active members in 29 countries, different countries in all around Europe. We have a board of management, and every year we have to organize our annual conference and general assembly where we put together the future decisions we have to make. Apart from the ERI board, in this case, as you can see here, we have different national coordinators in all around the countries in Europe. In my case, I am as well the national representative in Spain. As I told you before, we are in somehow the voice for industrial heritage at European level, and in 2019 we were recognized as one of the cultural roots of the Council of Europe. This means that this was a very important fact for us because it's somehow to recognize that industrial heritage is a very important part of the European history. So this means that we are really recognized at European level as a main lobby, let's say, or partner in this topic. Okay, I invite you to visit our website. This is very important. We have a lot of information, not only about 2,400 different industrial sites in all around Europe, but also information about the different activities we develop within the area. And hopefully it's quite impressive when every year we check the figures about the number of visitors we have. And as you can see here, every day we have about 9,000 visits. So it's amazing because we have, as I told you, not only information about the different sites from, let's say, touristic point of view, but also you can find a lot of information, historical information, a lot of research about the Industrial Revolution in different countries in Europe, different regions, and so on. So I really invite you to visit the website. Okay, if we talk about the presence of ERI in Spain, we are actually 80 members. As you can see here, there are a kind of difference. We have 60 sites, normal sites, let's say, but we have 11 anchor points. This means that these places are the highlights, the most important, because from the cultural point of view, there are also authentic sites where you can explain the history, the Industrial Revolution of the places where they are located, but at the same time, from the touristic point of view, the offer they have, the quality of the visit is so high. So it's mixed between the importance from the historical point of view, but at the same time, the importance because of the high quality of their visits, okay? And at the same time, we have 3 regional routes that I told you next. Okay, these 3 regional routes are, as you can see there on the map, Asturias, the Basque Country, and Catalonia. As you can see here, those 3 regional routes, 3 regions are located in the north because in the economic history of Spain, the north of the country was very much developed than the south. So just some tips about the 3 regional routes. When we talk about Asturias, which is on the left, we talk about coal mining, mainly coal mines. When we talk about the Basque Country, iron and steel, and when we talk about Catalonia, mainly textile factory. These are the main sectors we had during the Industrial Revolution. Okay, let's go to the Basque Country in this case, and as you can see, this is the branding, this is the logo in Basque Industrial Tourism. This means that this project is led, as I told you, by the Ministry of Tourism in this case. We are 33 different sites, as you can see here, in those 3 provinces. Most of them, as I told you, related to steel and iron, not only because, for example, we have a railway museum, we have bridges, we have represented museums coming from or which talk about some other sectors. But not only we have museums, but also landscapes, which is very important. In this case, of course, what is really important to be part of the area is the interpretation. I mean, when you go to a landscape, it's important to know where you are. For that, what is important? Signs, everything, just to know where you are, okay? In this case, for the Ministry of Tourism, was very interesting to develop this touristic product because this product distributes the flow of tourists, as you can see, and visitors throughout the territory. Of course, they extend the average length of a stay of the tourists in the Basque Country. This means that we want, of course, that tourists come to the Basque Country, visit the Guggenheim Museum, but not only. So this is important. Deseasonalize. This means that it's not necessary to come to the Basque Country to visit the industrial heritage or the industrial sites during the summertime. You can visit all around the year. Of course, which is very important, generate economic activity and employment in local communities. We are talking about industrial sites, and as I told you, during the 80s, those cities had a lot of socioeconomic problems, and actually some of them still do. So it's important in this case also reinforce the economy and employment from the touristic point of view. Just to finish, of course, it's a very nice touristic product because it's easy to complement with other touristic products such as ecotourism. As I told you, the Basque Country is a very hilly country, bike and walking, ringways, enogastronomy, mice, and some other touristic products offer, of course, a unique and differentiated experience, and the most important thing, the last one, reinforce the sense of belonging. And as you can see, always we are thinking about the Sustainable Development Goals, which is very important. And in this case, also it's important to share with you that when we started collaborating with the Ministry of Tourism, as I told you, we are a non-governmental association, we are a cultural association, so for us the main important thing is to preserve and to reuse in a very good way our industrial sites. So when we started collaborating with them, we said, okay, we are going to help you, but what is really important is to take into account the carrying capacity of those industrial sites and not put at risk, okay? This means that we have to respect their cultural values. Okay, and I will share with you some pictures of some of the sites we have in our network in the Basque Country. For example, here you can see Añana Salt Valley. This is a salt valley, which is one of the 3 anchor points we have actually in the Basque Country. It's a very important point because it's in the middle of nowhere, let's say. It's in a rural area, so if you want to go to visit, you have to go there to visit it. And they have a lot of visitors, so this means that it's so important because, as you can see, the village is so small, and every year you realize that people is going, it's a very nice place to visit. So from that point of view, as a territorial balance, distribute the flow of tourists. This is one beret factory. I don't know how to say, but French people, the beginning of the century, used to use a beret, the chapela we call. I don't know the name in English, but this is the factory we had. This is the other anchor point we have, and it's very interesting because they preserve the whole machinery from the beginning. It's authentic, and they are thinking, by the way, thinking about applying for UNESCO. It's a very nice place. This is the Railway Museum, another anchor point we have, and this is very interesting because you can visit the collection of different steam machines and so on, but at the same time you can do a trip 5 kilometers in this train. So this is very, very interesting from the quality of the visit that I told you before. And this is another icon we have. This is Vizcaya Bridge, Vizcaya Suspension Bridge, which is UNESCO. As you can see here, it was the first industrial heritage site in Spain with this nomination, UNESCO. Actually, we have 2 in our network, of course, and this is a very interesting place. This place is a very interesting place. It's a kind of power plant. 2 years ago, we hold here the ERI National Conference. In this case, it was a very interesting place, not only because it's open for tourists, but because it's not a museum. It's a place where the administration locates a lot of startups related to digitalization of those activities. So the mix between, in this case, industrial heritage and some other activities, not only museums, is a very nice example. Okay, I'm afraid, but I'm going faster because if not, time. This is another museum. This is the blast furnace we have. Actually, we are restoring. It's a very nice place. It's, as we call our cathedral in this case. Some other mines areas, loading docks along the Bilbao River, which are so fundamental, and some other mining areas, forges, a lighthouse. So as you can see here, another mines, everything, or most of those places related to iron and steel, as I told you, the Maritime Museum. I like very much this picture because very close to here is the Guggenheim Museum. So the mix between the new and the old is very interesting. And as you can see here, I don't know the picture, I invite you to go there, but it's a very interesting place because it's quite huge. So it's possible to organize here different concerts or music festivals or some other meetings. So it's, from that point of view, it's a very nice place. Okay, let's go to Catalonia. This is the same, it's another regional route we have, but in this case they are more focused on heritage, not on tourism, but on heritage. They are about 29 museums, and it's really interesting because, as you can see here, they share the same brand, and they have just one museum, which is the Museum of Terrassa City, which is the most important one, is the reference. And around it, they have different museums, sectoral museums. So if you want to know about the history, the industrial history of the region, you go here. And if, for example, you are interested in railways, you can go to the Railway Museum to know a little bit more. But the main museum, the main reference is this, and around it, you can find different other museums. This is the museum. There are some pictures here. This is by inside. It's quite nice, very interesting. It was a former textile factory. As I told you, textile in Catalonia was so important, but at the same time, you can find some other industrial sites. This is another textile factory, but you can see here a cement factory, which is very interesting. This talks about power plants and different other activities. I will not stop too much, but there is a very interesting network as well, because they focus on industrial heritage, not too much on tourism. So there are different differences, as you can see, between those networks. And the last one is the Asturias one, and this is the Asturias region. Here we have in the network about 20 different sites. As I told you, most of them related to the coal mines, because at the Spanish level, Asturias region was the most important hub on producing coal. So this was very important region, and actually they have, most of them, several museums related to coal mine. This is a very interesting anchor point because it's possible to visit the mine underground, and you can go till 650 meters down. So the visit itself takes about 5 hours. It's an amazing visit. They have also a railway museum, as you can see, different other mines. This is a very interesting mine because it's a submarine mine. As you can see, it's very close to the beach, to the sea. So when you have the visit, you can go down the sea. It's quite amazing. This is the Steel Museum as well, and some other mining museums, as you can see. Okay, and thank you very much for your attention.